Oi! G'day guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about my custom 22-250. Now, this gun got rebarreled by yours truly. If you want to see the videos on the process of rebarreling, jump on the Patreon. They're all listed over there. I'm not going to bore you to death with the process of rebarreling a rifle. I bought this 22-250 with a sported barrel on it. I've done videos on this gun before, so go and check the catalog. There's other videos in there. Anyway, it had a 22-inch barrel, sporter profile. It shot fairly accurately-ish with factory ammunition with the Remington stuff, the 55 grain, which you're gonna see me shoot in this video. I was getting roughly 1.5 inches, sometimes down to 1 inch, it just depended. With the Winchester ammunition, also 55 grain, I was getting like 4 inches, 3 or 4 inches at 100. It was fucking dog shit ammunition. So what I've done is I've rebarreled it to 26 inches. It's an IBI 5R 1 in 8 twist. It's technically a heavy varmint profile. It's straight through 1.125 inches down to about that far from the muzzle, and then it tapers down. Now the reason that is because when I bought it in the heavy varmint profile, it was a 1.2 inch profile tapered as a normal heavy varmint. Now, when you do a Tikka, you need to have it at 1.125, otherwise the barrel is bigger than receiver, and it looks dog shit. So I spun that and profiled it down to be essentially straight through 1.125 until obviously that little bit of taper at the end. Yeah, it's not a straight through bull barrel, but it's kind of close-ish. It has just a standard 22-250 Remington chamber. I do have a 22 cal throating reamer, and I do want to load eventually 80 grains or 80.5 grain projectiles, and to be able to seat them out a little bit longer, I may throat this rifle. But for right now, it is just a standard chamber. So after rebarreling it, the first thing I needed to do was obviously shoot in the barrel. Personally, I think it's a bit silly. Like, yes, you can do it, but I don't feel like you gain that much from, shooting in a barrel. What are you doing when you're shooting in a barrel? Essentially, you're filling the imperfections with copper, and you're kind of honing down any machining marks from the chambering process and or the rifling process at the factory. Some rifle manufacturers lap their barrels before they sell them off to you, and generally lapped barrels will not need shooting in. Some barrels that are a bit shitter will need shooting in to smooth out those marks. Essentially, you're honing your barrel by firing rounds through it. I found that just shooting the normal amount of rounds for a load development is generally enough to shoot in a barrel. So I don't go through a shooting in process and then load development. I do them at the same time. You'll generally find that yes, once the barrel is sort of, shot in, it will shoot better, but it's not going to change if a load shoots shit through the barrel before it's shot in, it's still going to be shit, right? So you can still shoot your groups and figure out which load is the best. Just understand that it may get smaller. It's not going to get bigger. So yeah, that's just my little rant on shooting in a barrel. Yes, you do need to shoot in the barrel, but no, you don't need to shoot it in for, X amount of fucking rounds and then do your load development. You can just go straight on with your load development. I've shown this a couple other times before with buying factory guns, and I've just gone straight in and shot groups and they've been, MOA. So take from that what you will. So I'm not going to continue talking. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw into the range footage, and you'll get an idea. Essentially, all I'm doing is I'm shooting some factory ammunition to get it zeroed. I fired 30 rounds of factory ammo, and then I went straight into 40 rounds of hand loads to figure out which one this gun likes the best. And then once you're finished watching that, you're going to circle back and I'll meet you back here at the house. Righto, my dudes. So I'm just going to sight it in. I've already bore sighted. I'm just going to fire some factory ammunition. This is Remington 55 grain. Yeah, so we're just going to sight in this new scope as well. This is a Discovery Optics HD Gen 2 5-30 by 56 SFIR. So we're going to see how that goes, but yeah, the primary thing we're doing here is sighting in this rifle. I also have some hand loads that I want to run over the chrono as well. I do have a chronograph out the front, so even with the factory ammunition, I'm going to be writing the values down to see what the velocities actually are. Now, box velocity on this is 3680. When I had the 22-inch barrel on this gun, I didn't chrono a hell of a lot, but some of the rounds I did chrono, I was getting roughly 3500. feet per second. So it'll be interesting to see with that same ammunition what I'm getting out of a 26-inch barrel, being that it is obviously 4 inches longer. So I'll turn the chrono on, I'll load up, and then we'll just get shooting. So these are the first rounds out of this new barrel. So let's see how she does. My chronograph is not reading that. Ah, that didn't read either. What the fuck? All right, I'll put the doovie Watsits on the fucking chronograph, so hopefully it reads now. Right, let's go and have a look at that. The velocity on that last one was 35.92. All right, so this was the first 3-round group. The first ever rounds out of this barrel. 1, 2, 3. Second 3-round group. 1, 2, 3. First 6 rounds out of the barrel. There is some grass in the way, so it's a bit hard to see the target, but I'm sure we'll live. 37.13. Fucking inconsistent ammunition. 36.86. Yeah, so the second shot went high, but the other two are fairly close together. Right, the last adjustment I did was retarded, went too far. Let's see if you can hear this. Clicks pretty good. I'm really liking this scope so far. Let's have a look at some of the inconsistencies in our brass. So this ammunition is very inconsistent, as you could have seen from the velocities we got. Have a look at this one. Look, the neck is all torn up, completely flattened out. This one here is significantly longer than the others, so let's have a look at. It might be hard to tell on camera, but that neck on the left one is significantly longer than the one on the right. Yeah, the velocities were very, very inconsistent. I'll do the maths on this because I've got to sit here and wait for this barrel to cool anyway. But that's the velocities. So I'll do the maths and I'll put the average right there. Disregard the top one. Out of 21 shots, we have an average, you wouldn't read about it, of 36.83 feet per second, which actually meets the box velocity of this ammunition, which is 36.80. However, that's out of a 24-inch barrel. This is a 26-inch barrel. So the factory ammunition does not go the speed it does. So if you're using that box velocity for your data, it's probably going to be wrong. Just a hot tip right there. That barrel's cooled a bit. It's not perfectly cold, but it's not hot either. Now I am really impressed with this scope at the moment. This scope will get a full in-depth review in the future. I'm going to move the camera because that sun's a bit shit. Our first load is 34.6 grains of AR 2208 with a 55 grain Sierra Game King with a BC of 250. Let that barrel cool for a bit, and I'm going to go and check that target. Right, so that first group was 22 millimeters on the longest spread, which is under an inch, so that's not bad. Obviously that's the first load, so let's go now with 34.8. I think the wind got that last one. All right, once again, barrel cooling, and we'll check the grip. All right, that group was 25 millimeters, so it's just under an inch. Now we're on to 35 grains. All right, we're getting somewhere now. That was a 20 mil group, 3 holes, 5 rounds. So there's 2 double ups there. That's pretty good. So let's move on now with 35.2. Ah, fucking that one was out. That group was looking good too. Probably because that velocity said 60, 36.44, 36.61, and they were right next to each other. And then at 35.89, it dropped off a bit. And right in the middle again, and that was the same velocity as those first two, 36.91. That was a group of 19 mil. If we disregard that flyer, the one that I called, it would have been 16 mil. So we're getting better. We can see those progressively getting smaller and smaller. There's their barrel. All right, she's warm, but she's not overly hot. All right, so now we're moving on with 35.4. I think I fucked that shot. Right next to the first round. Yeah, I think I pulled that second shot. That was a 21 mil group, very consistent muzzle velocities. The round that I called, that flyer, dropping that takes it down to a 12 mil group. If I do my part, it shoots pretty well. So I feel like the 35.2 and the 35.4 grains loads have worked out well. I've changed the target. We've got 3 more loads to shoot, being 35.6, 35.8 and 36. So let's see how we go. Groups have opened back up again. That was 24 mil. It was, yeah, a bit junk actually. But anyway, now we're on to 35.8 grains. That was impressive. Very consistent velocity, so 37.20, 37.02, 37.14, 37.47, 37.14, and that was an 11 mil group. So that's definitely the charge weight that I'll be sticking to. Well, that'll be sticking around when I do some further load development if I go down that path, although this is just my hunting loads, so probably not going to fuck around with seating depth or anything. Anyway, we have the 36 grain load to shoot, 5 rounds, and that's it for today. No pressure signs and I'm on max charge. So that's good. That's a max charge of 36 grains of 2208. Let's go pull that target and I will meet you back at the house. So there you have it, guys. That's the shooting. If we break down these groups that you just watched me shoot of these hand loads, so the 34.6 grain load had an average muzzle velocity of 35.29 and a group of 22 mil, which is 0.866 of an inch. The 34.8 grain group had an average velocity of 35.08, a 25 mil group, and that is 0.984 of an inch. The 35 grain group had an average muzzle velocity of 35.24, a 20 millimeter group, which is 0.787 of an inch. 35.2 grains had an average velocity of 36.36, a group of 19 mil, which is 0.748 of an inch. 35.4 grains had 3,700 feet per second average for the group, a 12 mil group, and that is 0.472. At 35.6 grains, it was 36.85 for a 24 millimeter group and 0.944. 35.8 grains had an average group velocity of 37.19, group size of 11 mil, which is 0.433 of an inch, and 36 grains, only 2 of the 5 shots registered on the chronograph because my chronograph generally shits the bed at above 3,800 feet per second and you generally get errors. So we had 1 round at 37.75 and 1 round at 38.05. That's an average of 37.90. A group size of 13 millimeters, which is 0.511 of an inch. So as you can see, they're pretty fucking good groups, considering I'm not a very good hand loader and I'm a kind of an average gunsmith. I think those groups are fairly decent for the fact that we haven't really, shot in the barrel. We haven't gone through this like 150 million fucking round shoot-in process and clean it between every fucking round and whatever. I literally fired 30 rounds of factory ammunition, I cleaned it, and then I fired these groups of hand loads. It was 5 minutes between group, 1 minute between each shot, banged it out, and that's what we have right there. I will be sticking around the 35.8 grain mark. That's probably just what I'm going to load up. I don't intend to go too full retard on this particular load, being it's a 55 grain load. It's not a long range load. It's going to be my hunting round for that gun, because that is my fox gun, but it's also my target shooting gun. That's the load I'm going to stick with. I will make a couple of boxes of that ammunition, that can be my hunting stuff, and then I'm going to go down the path of load development with 80 grain bullets and 80.5 grain bullets. I've already got the 80.5s here. I might be able to get my hands on some 80 grainers. That's what I'll go full retard into, seeding depth and all of that crap. And as I said, I'm probably going to throat the rifle a little bit longer so I can seat those bullets out and maximise my case capacity. There you have it. That's the rebarrel job on my Tikka T3x 22 250. I hope you got something out of that. I will see you next video, and hooroo.